Now, if we move into now the topic of unconditional, that we just took on a whole different, set of descriptions with this one concept. And we both talked that we both, I was speaking for self, that I grew up in an environment where as long as I followed certain rules and certain protocols, I talked a certain way, I acted a certain way, I behaved in a certain manner, then I was treated one way, right? Yes. Like, let's say I was maybe treated good or with respect, but maybe I decided to question something. Well, why is this? Why is that? Then that wasn't met with the same level of acceptance as if I just kept my mouth shut and obeyed, and I spoke like everyone, and I acted like everyone, I dressed like everyone. But the minute I decided to, okay, well, I want to question something, or I want to move slightly in a different direction,
way,
then that was questioned. And whenever the first thing and the first topic that came up was questioned in regarding to my love, right? Like, well, and then that was followed up with, well, if you really love me, you will ... right? And sometimes it came from a parental figure, sometimes it came from an intimate relationship, sometimes it came from a friendship, well, if you really love me, if you're my boy, right? Like, they don't have to use the word love, but they're like, if you're my boy, if you're my friend, then you would ... It's like, I don't remember signing a contract saying that I was obligated to do these things, in any one of those instances, in a relationship, in a friendship, in a marriage. And I've heard the argument, well, marriage is a union between, man and a divine being. Well, there's but if I don't ascribe to that belief system, then you can't hold me to that standard.
Yes.
Right? This world is big, man. There's many different cultures and beliefs and practices. So you can't hold me to that standard if that's not my belief system. And then now again, and whenever we start putting, if the conversation starts with, if you really love me, ... Now that's where we introduce the topic of conditions.
Love under conditions, man. Yes. We talked about that, right? I mean, giving an example of earlier, like the way, which love was shown. I mean, from my own example, right? It's basically that love under conditions, under like, okay, you get a certain grade, you behave this way, you act this way. All right, you've been a good person throughout this week. All right, here's a reward for you. So, and if I'm unable to achieve any of that, then the love isn't there.
Yes.
So, and now, like we said, that is like conditional love.
Yes.
Right. And then even bringing that into the adult life, right? Like relationships or whatnot. Like I told you from one of our discussions in Nigeria during Valentine's Day, those that are in relationship, right? The kind of common trend and tradition is spending like unnecessary amount of money, right? On the spouse, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, right? That is the indication of love, right? And then just, understand this concept of unconditional love, right? So it's like, when the boy or when the girl buys something for the guy, she's expecting him to buy something. Like, oh, why you didn't buy something for me? If you love, like you say, if you love me, you should buy something for me, right? If you love me, you should jump on a grenade for me,
right?
I think there's a song about that too.
So I mean, I've had those experiences too, where the conversation starts with, if you love me, then you would, and they've pretty much all resulted into some form of disagreement, because again, my working definition just so happened to be different. And then as I grew and I looked at the model that I based my interactions, like emotional interactions with, I realized that also had to grow and change, because I was, I kind of I recognized when I fell into the trap of conditions. Like, wait a minute, you said you love me, but you did this. And to them, they were looking at me all confused as far as like, but I bought you something.
Yes.
And I couldn't recognize the gift as an affection of love. You know, similarly to when someone would say, I love you, right? Even in an intimate relationship, I couldn't equate the language of I love you to an expression of love.
Yes.
To me, it just sounded like, you know, you could have said, you know, pass the peanut butter.
Yeah.
Right, like I didn't compute that as like that was an expression of love. I thought you were just saying that maybe, I don't know, like
peanut butter.
like you just like it was just something that you felt in a moment to say, you know, because I'm now looking at, you know, like I love shrimp, right?
Yes.
Man, if there's 10 pieces of shrimp on a plate,
yes,
and you tell me one of those pieces of shrimp are poison, I will take my chance and eat 9 of them.
Yes. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I'm gonna pick around and try to figure out. Okay,
this doesn't have poison.
And I'm still alive. And then if I get to 9 and I find out that I ate the bad one, I'm gonna go for the 10th one. I'm going down swinging, right? That's love. To me, that's yes. And so, you know, when someone would say, "I love you," you know, like I said, it didn't equate to me. Like I didn't register that and process it as an expression of love.
Yes.
And again, if we dial that back, then I've been in conditions with family members specifically. I love you, and you know, were responsible because it's no longer affecting me in those ways or at all. Yes. But for some significant traumas in my life that I had to grow with and had to learn to live with till I got to the point where I was strong enough and had the courage to face them and resolve them, right? To the point where it ended up fracturing, you know, the relationship between me and those family members where we don't even speak anymore for extended period of time. But I had to grow that's where the courage kicked in, where I had to grow and have the courage to accept that as a reality, because the manner in which those expressions of love was being projected towards me, it was traumatic. It didn't feel good. And then especially when they followed that up with I love you, then I almost grew to despise the word love. So now I'm in intimate relationships with people, and you know, women are like, you know, I love you, and I'm like, it almost triggered a deal breaker, like, you know, we were doing fine until you said that word. Yes. You know, I would it's almost to the point, I remember a few times where I was like, I would much rather than just go, I really, really like you. I like you so much. Like that would mean more to me than I love you, you know, because I was conditioned to now recognize love with pain and trauma, which, you know, I'm sure there are people out there that can relate. Yes. But again, you know, I've grown older, wiser to be able to differentiate between the two. Yes. Until I got to the point where I realized that the people that were, you know, causing this trauma and calling it love, that's exactly what happened to them. Right? They were raised with significant trauma and abuse and you know, and torment by the people who even brought them into this world. And you know, so I remember when I got to the point where I realized, like, man, this person doesn't even know what love is, because what they're describing that they went through by their parents, father and mother, had nothing to do with love. Yes. Right? That was, you know, so I'm like, so where did you get your working definition of love from? Right? So it left me with that question. So then now if fast forward to like my generation, and when I'm looking at these, you know, individuals that are supposed to be role models, setting this model and the standard of love. Yes. As a kid, you don't know any better. You just like, okay, I'm gonna do as I'm told. I'm gonna say. But as you get older and you're wise enough and to kind of reflect, like, wait, you never even knew what love was. But that's what enabled me to to deal with my own personal traumas and get over certain difficult situations, because I was able to forgive myself, but also forgive, my abuser and my tormentor, because they were just doing what they thought was right, because that's what they grew up under, these conditions.
Yes, man. That is everything, man. It reminds me of the conversation we'll have where it's like, for instance, if someone is getting into intimate relationship, right? It's like you just really want to be careful, or you really want to know how were they loved, right? In the sense that what is their expression of love, right? Because speaking, in this manner is just, come to realize that some people have walked around this earth without realizing what actual love is.
Yes.
Right? They just, practice or think, okay, this is what love is supposed to be. And like you say, we're associated with pain, right? Because honestly, I remember, one of the stories, like, discipline, growing up for me was not, hey, go sit in the timeout. It was, give me this belt right here, get some whoopings, right? And after the whoopings, everything, crying, blood, everything, like, why I did that? Because I love you, right? So it's like, growing up, like you said, right, when someone say I love you, now you're associated with that pain, right? Like, man, how you say you love me with that pain? And then, over time, man, like one of the realization for me was, over time, the value or the meaning of love was lost to me, because like you say, you could literally just say, pass me the peanut butter. That's what you mean by saying I love you, right? And it's crazy, man. Like, if you don't do that self-realization, like, wait a minute, what actually is love then, right? Or how do I even feel love? Like, what is the feeling of love looks like, right? Because growing up is just been traumatized to, like, associated with the pain, with the abuse, most especially, like you say, right, from family people, right? Like, especially family, man, the people you claim you love, right? Because, like, okay, I love these people, but this expression right here, man, it doesn't seem genuine, right?
Yes.
It's not love under conditions. Like, it's so traumatic, man.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes.
It's your DFB anchor. You know the drill. Go ahead and click the subscribe button right now.